Hi guys, it's Cornish Kayak Angler. In a recent video I had a look at the Vibe Seaghost 110 fishing kayak. That's a brilliant little all-rounder, great option if you're after your first fishing kayak. Now that model, it's got a bigger brother, the Vibe Seaghost 130. It's longer, it's faster, it's got even more carrying capacity. Makes it a great option if you're wanting to get out there on open waters and perhaps cover a bit more distance during your fishing trip. So this kayak here, we're going to take a look at it now. Right, so here we have the Vibe Seaghost 130 fishing kayak. The 130 standing for 13 feet in length. That's 2 foot longer than the Seaghost 110, which was 11 foot in length. And quite often when you get two size models within a series, the longer one's often just a stretched out version of the smaller one, and as they stretch it out it loses some width. So lose a bit of width, gain a bit of length, and you've got your neck size up in the range. Not quite the case with the Seaghost 130. They've maintained the width that you get on the Seaghost 110, which is I think about 33.5 inches, and they've literally just added a foot on either end of the kayak. So you've gained a nice bit of length. That extra bit of length gives you a bit more speed through the water, but because you maintain that width, you've still got loads of stability, and with it increased volume in the hull, which gives you more carrying capacity. But yeah, a good combination of length and width to again make it quite a good all-rounder. Sure, it's not going to be the fastest 13-foot fishing kayak out there. There's other models out there that are quicker. The likes of an Ocean Kayak Trident 13, a Prowler 13, Perception Triumph 13, and there's faster again, Viking Pro Fish Reload. So yeah, it's not going to win any races, but see this as a great steady cruiser. It's not a complete barge, it's not a complete battle to paddle it through the water. It paddles reasonably well for a 13-footer. Not the fastest, not the slowest, just sits in that good all-rounder range. And that makes it brilliant for paddling on the open coast, paddling on large inland waters, where you may have to cover a bit more distance during the day on your fishing trip. Or you may have to contend with a bit of wind and weather against you. You may have to contend with a bit of tide against you. This slightly longer kayak, 13 foot, great for giving that touch of extra speed and that touch of extra ease at cutting through the water, and it makes a difference. It does make a difference when you've got a bit more distance to paddle on the water or the conditions are against you. So 13 foot, great all-round size for on the coast especially. So yeah, we've got a good all-rounder here. Carrying capacity, it's got stacks of carrying capacity, plenty of stability with it. Vibe rate the carrying capacity 250 kilos, 550 pounds, that's massive. Paddler weight, you comfortably put a 20 stone plus paddler on it, maybe a 22, 23 stone paddler. You've still got allowance there to have the weight of your kit and gear on top and not push too close to the carrying capacity limits of the kayak, because the closer you get to that maximum capacity, the less you're going to enjoy your time on the kayak. It's going to feel tippier, it's not going to perform as well. So you don't want to go too close to it. So yeah, paddler weight, somewhere around the 20 to 22 stone size, you know, they'll be comfortable on this. And a smaller paddler will be fine on it too. So yeah, if you're a larger paddler looking for a reasonable kayak, especially for fishing on the sea, on the ocean, Vibe Seaghost 130 is a great option, really great option. In terms of weight off the water, rigged up as it is now, I think Vibe are quoting this about 41 kilos, it's about 90 pounds. So yeah, it's not a lightweight kayak off the water. There is a bit of weight to deal with. That might be a consideration if you have got to lift this thing up and on top of a car or vehicle roof rack. So just something to bear in mind. But to be honest, once the kayaks get up to 13, 14 foot, a lot of them are sort of 35 kilo plus anyway. So usually you've got to deal with that sort of weight no matter what kayak you go for once you get over 13 foot. There's a few that buck the trend, but in general, most of them have a bit of weight that you've got to contend with off the water. So a great kayak, a great fishing kayak, a great all-rounder, and really well kitted out with features. If you watch my last video on the Vibe Seaghost 110, you'll see it comes with loads of features. to make it nice and easy to fish from and very easy to accessorize and add things to. Vibe Seaghost 130, it has the exact same feature set as the Vibe Seaghost 110. I'm going to run through them all now. We'll take a look and see what's so great about this kayak. Okay, so starting at the bow of the Seaghost 130, you can see it's got a fairly sleek hull. Sure, it's not the sharpest hull in the world, but this bottom section here is fairly narrow. It scallops out to a wider, higher volume top half. But yeah, it's reasonably sharp. Like I said, this isn't the fastest 13-foot fishing kayak out there, neither is it the slowest. Just sits in that happy medium where it's going to cut through the water reasonably well and not be a complete barge to paddle. But yeah, reasonable bow shape to that. There's a lot of scalloping on the sides here, so if it is choppy, you are going to get a bit of water flaring off this side. But there's not a lot of upwards flare on this bow, so if it's really rough and choppy, you may be getting a bit of water splashing over the front there. If we have a look up on top, we've got a standard drain bung there, so you can use that to drain the inside of the kayak should you get any water find its way inside. Moving back, we've got a really good grab handle here. The Vibe handles here are really great. Nice grippy top surface with a rubberized underside. You get a really good grab on that when you need to lift your kayak or pull it along when it's on a trolley. Just back from that, we find a length of bungee going from one side of the bow to the other. And there's a slightly recessed section in the middle of that. That's used as a quick paddle stow. If you're paddling along, trolling lures off the back of the kayak and you get a fish, take the bait, take your lure, and you need to quickly get on top of that fish, you can just quickly shove your paddle blade straight under this bungee, quickly stow your paddle so you can sort your fish out. Moving back from that, we've got the Vibe oval hatch here, massive oval hatch. It's a quick open hatch. You just click the little latches here, hinges open. Opens up to a massive storage area. At the moment there's a hatch bag fitted in there, so you can use that to store your kit inside so it doesn't go rolling around in the kayak itself, or you can just pull that out. It's just on like a wire rim hanger. We can move that out of the way and that opens up completely to the inside of the kayak. There's enough room in there to fit in a fold up trolley and more gear. You can easily fit the really popular Railblazer Sea Tug trolleys in there. They fold up, they come apart, and you can put the wheels, the frame and the pads all inside this hatch here with a fair bit of room to spare as well. So yeah, a really great hatch. You can fit loads in there. Nice hinge design, easy open with the latches. It's quite nice on the design of the hatch. It's recessed within the kayak, so it's not sitting too proud. You've got these drainage channels within the recess too, so yeah, if you're getting splashes over the front, you need the water to drain away, it can just disappear through these channels, so the water's not sitting around the hatch rim. Quite a nice feature there. Just moving back from that, we've got some large flat areas. Flat areas are great for mounting accessory mounts, so you could easily get the likes of a Railblazer Starport here, a Ram Mount Bull, Scotty base, Yak Attack bases. They can all be bolt mounted and installed on this flat surface here, and you can easily get in through the hatch to do up bolts and fittings. You can probably fit a nice section of slide track along here as well if you wanted sort of an area where you can quickly add and remove accessories too. So yeah, plenty of mounting surfaces there. Moving back to the main seating area of the kayak, we've got a lot going on here. There's a lot of features. I'll just start by pointing out this hole here. That's the scupper hole. It leads down to the transducer recess that we find on the bottom of this kayak. So that's an area where you can install a fish finder transducer. I'll talk a little bit more about that when I flip the kayak over later in this video. There's a couple of pad eyes here as well. I'm unsure on their exact purpose, but they could easily be used to clip down a battery box, or perhaps if you've got excess wiring from your fish finder transducer, you could probably tie them off to these points. There's a fair bit of flat surface area around here and on here. makes it easy to install a cable seal if you want to run your fish finder battery cable to the inside of the kayak. But yeah, plenty of flat surface area here to do that on. Further back from that, we come to the Vibe Versa console. It's a really cool console here, really great for adding accessories to or storing your tackling gear inside. I'll start by pointing out it's got a couple of little sections of slide track. That makes it dead easy to add accessory mounts, like a mount for a fish finder. You could have your fish finder screen mounted here off a little track base, and you can easily remove it at the end of a session. But the tackle pod itself, it's got a hinge design, so it's got these little latches here that you just sort of clip off like so, and the pod hinges open right almost at its center point, but it reveals a sealed in storage area in the kayak. Really great for popping all your essential tackle items that you need to hand during the day. You want quick and easy access from the seat. It's right there in front of you. It's got a nice little soft rubber seal sitting around the edge of it as well. That contacts with a plastic rim here to make a reasonable seal. It's going to keep the worst of the water out. It may not be 100% waterproof, but it's not going to be bad at all. I'll just close that down. Those little latches click in place to lock it down. You can also hinge the back half as well if you wanted. That hinges up to reveal the back half, and you can remove the whole pod cover as well if you wanted. So plenty of options for playing around with it there. Let's clip that back down. On top of the pod, you've also got these little hatch tackle lockers here. They're like little hinge latches. Again, you've got a soft seal around that meets this rim here to keep the worst of the water out. But you've got a little tackle bag in there, so you can pop in there your weights, your lures. Really easy to reach right in front of you. So yeah, a couple of little tackle hatches there, really handy. They just lock in place with this little latch. That secures them down. Some bungees on top, so you can perhaps put your pliers or knife under there to keep them safe. We've also got a cup holder, and there's a magnet built into the underneath of this tackle pod, so if you wanted to chuck your hooks, your lures, scissors down quickly, whatever it may be, they'll basically stick to this spot because there's a magnet underneath. So that's a pretty cool feature as well. And you've got some, again, little channels, so should you get water splashing over here, it should all drain away from this area. So yeah, really nice tackle pod there. Plenty of features on it. Makes it really easy to store your gear and add accessories to. Just quickly point out there's some scupper holes here. They've got bungs in it at the minute. It's quite nice. The Vibe kayaks come with a full set of scupper bungs, rubber scupper bungs. But yeah, you've got the scupper holes there. Should water come over the kayak, as long as the bungs are out, the water will drain away through that point. That's quite a nice feature there. But yeah, you've got scupper holes throughout this kayak at various locations to ensure it's a self-draining deck. Along the sides of the kayak, we find decent lengths of slide track, big long length along the footwell there. Again, great for easily adding accessories to this kayak. Extra rod holders, a camera mount, lots of other things can just fit on there. You just get track mounts. All the popular accessory companies make it. Railblazer, Ram mounts, Scotty, Kayak, they all have their own track mount system that will slot into these tracks, fairly universal tracks. From that you can add your accessories and build up your sort of dream setup with all sorts of gear on. Here we've also got adjustable footrests. See here, these are rudder control footrests. At the top half you can see how that hinges there, and you can see the rudder cord running back here. They hinge off the top half, so you can easily control the rudder with your feet, and we'll have a look at the rudder at the back of the kayak a little later on in the video. But yeah, you get a full fitted rudder system on this kayak, really cool. And you can easily adjust the length from the seat. There's a little latch on the back, you just press it and you can slide the rudder pedals fore and aft, so you can get in the sweet spot depending on how tall you are. Moving further back, we come to the Vibe Hero seat. It's a really nice, comfortable seat, alloy framed seat, covered with mesh. Yeah, nice and comfortable, and it's raised a couple of inches or so off the deck of the kayak, so you know, there's no risk of you sitting in water if there's a little bit of water splashing around on the deck. You're well above it, you're staying much drier, and you're staying nice and comfortable. You've got adjustment off the little buckles here for the tilt of the backrest. It's also a dual position seat, so at the moment it's in its lowest setting. You can see it down in this bottom notch here. There's a higher notch further up there. The seat can be lifted up, put into a higher position for if you want just that extra bit of height when you're fishing. You know, can help when you're sort of sight casting to fish in the shallows, but for sea fishing it's nice to have that seat nice and low for that extra bit of stability and that lower center of gravity. Either side of the seat we've got two areas sort of almost cut into the side of the kayak, molded into the side there, with some bungees and little bungee retainers. They're designed to fit two tackle boxes, one either side of the seat, and the tackle boxes that fit in there are the Plano 3600 series boxes. They fit there really nicely, gives you a tackle storage there right beside your seat, perfect keeping your lures and your terminal tackle right close to hand. Really handy feature that is. Also on the side of the kayak we've got a paddle holder. You see this groove molded into the side, that's designed to sit your paddle shaft within, and you got bungee retainer there to go around the paddle shaft, clips in the hook, holds your paddle alongside the kayak whilst you're fishing. You've got one of those either side of the kayak, and again good strong sturdy carry handles here right at the center point, so if you are strong enough to lift this kayak up and over your head, you can get a good grab of this kayak at its center point and haul it up onto your car roof rack. Okay, moving further back behind the seat, we've got two flush mount rod holders. They're sort of facing out just slightly back from the kayak, either side there, handy for holding your rods as you're paddling to and from your fishing marks. You can use them for trolling rods and lures, trolling lures off the back of the kayak as well. It's quite nice to fit proper trolling rod holders on the rails up front so you can see your rod tips as you're trolling, but these rod holders can be used for that as well. In the middle we've got a big screw hatch here that opens up, reveals a massive hatch bag there, and again that hatch bag could be pulled out if you want access to the inside of the kayak, but yeah, there's a decent storage area there and quite easy to reach to behind the seat, perhaps somewhere you can store your bait. Another quite handy feature there, just screws on and seals down to the kayak. And we come to the massive tank well on the Seaghost 130. You've got a huge storage area here with crisscross bungees to keep your gear secured down to the deck. Great, you could put a small crate in here, you could put a catch bag in here, plenty of storage space for your gear. Nice feature there, and you got those scupper holes there that you can pull the bungs out of, and you've got drainage points as well. You've got ridges and the Vibe logo moulded in. It helps to stiffen up this area. As flat tank coils, they can often be a little flimsy. There's a little bit of movement here, but those ridges help stiffen it up. So yeah, good storage area for all your gear and perhaps your catch too. You've got slide tracks here either side of the tank well. Again, really handy place to add mounts. You can have a camera boom off the side here, off a track mount, a flagpole and visibility light amongst other things. And the little bungee holders here, you can just see them there. They're fitted in the tracks too, so you can undo these and readjust or completely remove them if you wanted to. Coming to the very back of the kayak, we come to the Vibe rudder system that's fitted to the Seaghost 130, and it just goes through a pinhole. There's a moulded in pinhole at the back of the kayak, and the rudder pin goes through there. It's got a little clip on there to keep it in place so it can't pop out, and it's held down at the moment by a piece of bungee. So you just undo the bungee, you keep that on there for transport when it's on your car or during storage to stop it popping out of position. It sits within a little groove here moulded into the kayak as well, so it's a nice little storage slot there, secure storage slot once it's bungeed down. But yeah, the Vibe rudder, it's all controlled from the seating and the footwell. At the minute it's cleated down, there's a little cleat fitted to the side of the kayak here. We undo that, let go, rudder flips down at the back and deploys. That's the rudder in the deployed position. So that was just off a pull cord right here beside the seat. There's a little ball there to grab if you need to give it a good pull when you haul it up. But at the minute in its deployed position, we can go to these footrests. You just got to pretend your feet are on there, and as we press and put pressure on the footrests, it steers the rudder at the back. Really easy way to control the kayak, really handy if it's windy. Instead of you paddling on one side all the time to correct the kayak and keep it in control in the wind, you just trim those footrests there to trim the rudder. And you keep paddling at full efficiency as you would normally, but the kayak behaves much better in the wind. So a really handy feature to have a rudder kit on the kayak. This one's fitted here as standard on the Sea Ghost 130, a really great feature. And to haul it back up, you just have to give it a good pull, and as you do, you can see the rudder coming back up onto the deck there. You see this little cleat here, you just force the line into the cleat and it holds it in place, and it holds that rudder blade up out of the water. There's a little clip here as well, just to clip your uphaul and downhaul cord in so you don't lose it. If you let go of it, it won't go too far back. You can easily reach and grab that from the seat. There's a little bit of excess there, you can just throw behind you so it's easily accessible. But yeah, the uphaul cord, it goes in through some tubing that's fitted in the kayak. It comes back out where the rudder lines come back out as well, all at the back of the kayak. Really nice feature. You can easily readjust the tension if you ever lose tension on the rudder lines over time. You can easily just readjust them here by undoing a series of knots and tightening them back up. These kayaks, they do ship with the rudder not fitted at the back because it's very prone to damage when being shipped like this. They come wrapped up, placed in the tank well, which is really easy to pop it in place and just tie the cords on and adjust your rudder up. But yeah, nice easy way to get the rudder fitted to the kayak. But yeah, now it's probably best if I flip the kayak over and we'll have a look at some of the features on the underside. But as you can see on the top side of the kayak, really well kitted out kayak, stacks of features on it that make it really comfortable to fish from and really easy to add accessories to, such as fish finders, extra rod holders, crates, tackle storage bags, camera mounts and more. So it's super easy to rig up one of these kayaks, and keep an eye on my next video because you'll see exactly how I've rigged up one of these for sea fishing here in Cornwall in the UK. But let's flip this kayak over now and take a look at the hull itself. Just looking at the underside of the Sea Ghost 130, you can see that bow there that's got that reasonably defined bow shape there, fairly sharp, not sharpest, but it's a nice scallop on either side of it. It's going to cope with reasonably choppy waters pretty well. But yeah, that quickly sort of flares out and widens up to, well, this will be about where the hatch is on the front of the kayak, and then you can see it holds that width for much of its length. That's what gives it absolutely stacks of stability on this kayak. But you can see how it's a nice smooth underside, nice rounded sides. It's going to cut through the water pretty well. This is not a slab of a hull, it's not a complete barge. It's going to paddle reasonably well. It's a great all-rounder. It's not slow, but like I said, it's not the fastest out there either. But yeah, looking along the hull, we can see some nice tracking channels that run either side of a fairly flat center keel line. These help the kayak sort of maintain a straight course as you're paddling along, cause a little bit of resistance, lateral resistance to the kayak moving off course. But yeah, they run for, well, it must be 2/3 at least, maybe 3/4 of the length of this kayak before they tail away and disappear. And you can see those scupper holes all the way through those tracking channels there. You can also see here the cover plate here for the transducer scupper recess. It's a plastic plate perforated to allow the water to flow through it, and there's 4 bolts holding it in place. They're screwed down into threaded brass inserts molded within the kayak. You just unscrew those 4, cover plate pops off, reveals a decent sized transducer mounting recess on this kayak. And within that recess there's 2 threaded brass inserts, again moulded within the plastic. They're a perfect size or perfect distance apart to mount on the Lowrance Transom transducer mount, and also the Garmin Transom transducer mount. I think it's for their GT20 transducers, and for the Lowrance they're 83-200 and their 5200 hertz transducer mounts, they also fit in there as well. But yeah, really nice easy way to fit one of those mounts to this kayak. So yeah, looking further back along the hull, like I say, a nice smooth finish all the way through. It's going to glide quite well on the water. We get to the stern and it just narrows up, scallops out to a reasonably defined keel line. It's going to help a little bit with tracking. It's not the longest of keel lines, but yeah, it's going to help a little bit. And at the very back, you see this plastic plate here. That's a removable skid plate, so it's a sacrificial wear point. If you're ever dragging your kayak out of the water, this part of the kayak is going to take the worst of the brunt as you drag it out. It's the point of most wear. Well, this is a replaceable plastic section that will take plenty of wear, and then you can just unbolt it from the hull and pop a new one on should you be getting close to the actual plastic of the kayak itself. So yeah, it just helps prolong the life of the kayak. Another nice little feature there integrated on the Seaghost 130. Yeah, these nice rounded sides, not perfectly rounded, but they're smoothly round. It comes quite a defined chine and then flatten up on the edges. Well, that helps with the kayak handling choppier waters, rougher waters. As the water splashes out against the side, it can evenly disperse around the curve. It just stops the kayak getting slapped about quite so much in choppy waters. Kayaks that have very steep sides, steep large sides, they get slapped about quite a lot in the water, and you can often feel a little less stable in a high-sided, slab-sided kayak than you can in these, which have a reasonable amount of curvature around the side. So again, it just makes it a good all-rounder for general coastal waters. So there we go, that's the Vibe Seaghost 130 fishing kayak. It's a step up from the Seaghost 110, it being a little bit longer, so it's a bit faster, a little bit better for doing those longer distance trips, and certainly be a bit more capable of handling choppier waters that you typically find on the coast and large inland waters. Loads of stability, loads of carrying capacity, so it's great for a larger paddler who wants to get out there on the sea and on the ocean, to get out there kayak fishing, but also fine for a smaller paddler too. Rigged up with loads of features, really well kitted out, really easy to add accessories to and to rig it up into your dream fishing kayak. So yeah, really impressed with this kayak. It's a great all-rounder. Like I said, it's not the fastest 13-foot fishing kayak out there, and by no means is it the slowest. It paddles reasonably well, and plenty enough to enjoy general paddling and kite fishing in typical coastal conditions, and like I said, on large inland waterways too. So yeah, hope you found that video useful, guys. Be sure to check out my next video. I'm going to be rigging up one of these, showing you how I've rigged it up for kayak fishing here in the UK. If you want to get hold of one of these in the UK, be sure to check out Cornwall Canoes and the Canoe Shops group stores. They sell the Vibe kayaks here in the UK. But yeah, if you like the video, guys, make sure you give it a like and be sure to subscribe to my channel. There will be plenty more videos just like this where I have a look over fishing kayaks and rig them up for fishing. Okay guys, thanks for watching.